So hello everyone. Today we are going to do exercise 5.2, which is preparation of the pastas. And now we are performing the unit 1 and 2. That's the preparation of the fettuccine. So here is all the ingredient. We have like 1 cup of flour, 1 egg, and then some salt and water. So we are cutting this recipe into half. So that's why you may see there's a little bit difference of the ingredient amount compared with the recipe you have. So the step is really basic. You just mix all the ingredients together into the bowl. And here we are using the KitchenAid mixer. So first I put the flour into the bowl. Oops. And then the second is the eggs. And make sure you are washing the eggshell before you actually using the eggs. And here is some salt. I measure it is around like 1 ml. The last will be some water. Here is like 30 ml of water, and then later if we see that it's not enough, then we will add more. So now all the ingredients are in the bowl already. It's the time for us to mix them in the mixer. So we will let the mixers to do the work. It's around like 5 to 7 minutes mix, and later we will see how the dough goes. So now it's after like around 10 minutes rolling, the dough looks like that. So now we're gonna divide the dough into like half. I know according to the original recipe, it said like divided into 3 pieces, but since we are only doing like a half of the recipe, so we are gonna dividing this dough to half. So first, use some flour to dust the table, and then roll it a little bit. Then use a knife, try to cut them like evenly. It doesn't have to be like too even because we're gonna like perform them into the pasta later anyways. So after you cut them, roll it a little bit into like those 2 small balls, and then use the plastic wrap to cover it and let them to sit for 10 minutes for the hydration. Okay, so now we're back to the fettuccine. They are after 10 minutes resting, and now we're gonna roll the fettuccine in this little machine. So we will bring up the first dough, and then dust the dough with a little bit flour. Make sure the flour is covering the dough, otherwise it's gonna stick into the machine. So then we just like roll it first. Oops. Dust it with the flour again. Switch them to like a thinner side. No, sure. Okay, and then we roll it one more time. Thank you. So as you see, that is after 4th times rolling, and then we're just gonna cut it to half. That is easier for us to perform the work later. And now we're gonna switch the stick to fettuccine one, and then we're actually gonna cut the noodles. fettuccine, and sorry about the sound because this machine just make it like a really weird sound. And then after it's cutting, we put them on the racks for let them to dry. We're gonna cut into half. On the rocks for 10 minutes, and then we will boil them. So that is the exercise 5.2 with the unit 1 and 2 making the fettuccine, and now is the time for us to cook the fettuccine in the hot boiling water. So as I said before, this already dry on the rocks for 10 minutes, and then we just like pour them into the hot water. Before you put them in, you actually want to stir the water a little bit and then make sure they are not like sticking with each other. So here it is. It's gonna be okay. Like stir them when you like put them in. And we have some more in here. Here we go. So now all the pastas all the fettuccines are in the pot. We will let them cook for around 2 minutes or until it's soft, because that is a homemade fettuccine, so it's get cooked really fast compared with the commercial one. So just keep an eye on them, and then when you think it's ready, just like pour them out. So after 2 minutes cooking, and the fettuccine is ready. So now we will just put the fettuccine with the drainer and put them to be on the side. So here's all the fettuccine. A full recipe of that should be yelled for like 5 to 6 people. But then, because we are cutting the recipe into half, so that this amount should be good for 2 to 3 people. And then we'll put some butter in the fettuccine to prevent them to be like sticking together.
Okay, this is exercise 5.2. The objective is to prepare and evaluate cereal-based food products. This is units 3 and 4 making lasagna pasta using a manual pasta cutter. So first we're going to make the dough using a KitchenAid mixer, and there are just 3 ingredients. So I have measured 2 cups of durum semolina, which is a wheat product. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And then water. I'm going to start with about 3/4 of a cup of water, and if we need more, then we'll add it as we go. So that's all that goes into the bowl. And then we're going to attach it to the KitchenAid mixer and let it do most of the kneading work. This is the dough hook for the KitchenAid. There are other attachments that you might be familiar with, but this is for kneading dough. Okay, I'm going to keep it just at low speed and mix everything up, and it needs about 5 to 7 minutes to create a nice dough. Okay, so the dough was in the mixer for 7 minutes, and it's looking like a nice ball of dough here. I'm just going to cut it into 3 pieces. Try to make them pretty even in amount, but it's not super important that they're exactly even, because we'll be rolling them out separately later. And now they just need to be covered with saran wrap and let rest for 15 to 20 minutes, and that will let the flour hydrate, and then we'll be ready to use the pasta cutter. So the dough has had about 15 to 20 minutes to rest. I'm going to just cover it with a little bit of flour and then we're gonna start putting it through the manual pasta cutter. So we start with the widest setting, and then we roll it through a few times and keep getting smaller and smaller as we go. Okay, so we're just going to let this dry for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll be ready to cook with it. Okay, I have a pot of boiling water, and I'm going to cook these lasagna noodles. Start with this one. They're a little bit sticky. So they cook pretty fast, about 2 minutes, and I'm not going to crowd the pot because I don't want them to stick together. So I'll do this in 2 or 3 batches. Probably I could have cut them a little bit smaller because I'm finding it hard to put them in. Okay, we'll let that come back to a boil. Okay, I'm ready to take the lasagna noodles out. They're a lot softer than the boxed noodles, and I'm afraid of breaking them, although maybe that just adds to the homemade appeal. So I'm going to plop them into this strainer and just drain the excess water, and then we'll be ready to go and layer our lasagna.